Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel, and in today's video I'm going to show all of you how to make one of my favorite recipes, tiramisu. And this recipe is courtesy of my aunt, Zia Mary, and it's very straightforward and simple to make, and I'm hoping that by the end of this video all of you will be able to try this out. So with that being said, let's get started. So for this recipe, you're going to need 10 eggs, and you're going to want them to sit at room temperature, and you'll want to separate them. You will need 2 packages of ladyfinger cookies, also called Savoiardi cookies. You're going to want 2 tubs of 475 gram mascarpone-cheese, and you're going to want those to sit out at room temperature. You're going to want some cocoa powder, unsweetened, as topping, and I have it in a little nice sifting bottle, which will make it very convenient for the end. You're going to want 26 tablespoons of sugar, and you're going to want to separate them into 1 container of 6 and 2 containers of 10 tablespoons. You're going to want 3 cups of espresso, and you're going to want this to be at room temperature as well. And you're going to want 1 cup of a liqueur. I'm using Amaretto, but you can use something such as Kahlua in place of Amaretto. Step 1 will be to add your 6 tablespoons of sugar, your 3 cups of espresso, and your 1 cup of chosen liqueur into a large dish such as this. And this will be what we'll be dunking the ladyfinger cookies into later, but we're going to mix these all together and then put this aside. Next, we'll be adding the 10 egg whites to a bowl that we're going to go and whip them in. So I'm going to be using my KitchenAid mixer, so I'm using the KitchenAid mixing bowl, and we'll be adding 10 tablespoons of sugar. So we're going to use this balloon whisk to go and whip these egg whites to soft peaks, and I'll be sure to let you know when it's done. And if you're wondering how you can whip these egg whites without a machine, check out my chocolate mousse video. It's one of my first baking videos, and I'll explain to you how to use just a regular ordinary whisk to go and whip egg whites into soft peaks. So this is looking like it's done now, and the way that you know that it's done is when you use your balloon whisk and you flip it upside down. You should see that there's a little tiny peak with just a slight little curl on the end, just like that. I'll be completely honest with you. I would rather that you over whip the egg whites than under whip the egg whites, because if you under whip the egg whites, your final cake product might be a little soggy. So because we're going to be basically repeating this step of mixing the 10 tablespoons of sugar with the egg yellows next, we're going to go and need to use this bowl again. So we're just going to go and transfer the egg whites to another bowl, and we're going to use a very big bowl because later in the recipe, we're going to need to fold everything into this one big bowl. So if we start off putting the egg whites into a big bowl, we are 1 step ahead of the game. So we're going to need to completely wash these out before we go and mix the egg yolks with the next 10 tablespoons of sugar. So we'll be right back. So now we'll add the 10 tablespoons of sugar and the 10 egg yolks to this bowl. So the egg yolks, unlike the egg whites, are not going to whip until soft peaks. But you'll know these are done because the texture and color will change. The egg yolks will become a little bit more of a pale yellow, and the texture will be ribbon-like. So I'll be sure to show you what that looks like when we're done. So these are done, and you can see that they have turned a lot paler of a yellow tone. And another way to check that they're done is when you lift the whisk, you can see that they form these nice kind of ribbons when they drape down from the whisk. So now we're going to go and fold the egg yolks into the whipped egg whites. So I like to do this half at a time, so half the egg yolks and then the other half of the egg yolks. And I like to do it this way because it's the best way of ensuring that the egg whites don't deflate. So let's go and do that now. So you remember that chocolate mousse video I was talking about earlier? You could also go and watch that video to go and get my tutorial on how to properly fold things together, because folding is a lot more than just mixing. Folding is very delicate, and it is done in a way so that you can keep all of the air bubbles that we just made in the whipped egg whites. Okay, so now that the egg yolks and the egg whites have been properly folded together, we're going to move on to the next step, which is to add the 2 tubs of mascarpone cheese to this mixture and mix it up. So the easiest way to do that is to use a hand mixer, and of course you could use the hand mixer to have whipped the egg whites and ribboned the egg yolks earlier. And similar to the egg yolks, we are going to go and do this in 2 steps. So we're going to add 1 tub and mix it, and then add the other tub afterwards and mix it. You don't want to mix it for too long because it could risk deflating the egg yolks, so a quick mix is all you need just to get everything incorporated. So now that this is all mixed together, you can see that it has thickened up, and this is going to be essentially the filling for the tiramisu. And now the fun part is to come. We're basically going to assemble everything together. So I'm going to go and take you over to my serving dish, and we'll begin the assembly process. So to assemble everything, you're going to need the espresso alcohol sugar mixture from before. You're going to need the serving dishes that you're going to be using. I'm going to be using 2 tinfoil dishes around these size. I think you can pick these up at the dollar store. You can use 1 big tin if you want to as well. I'm just going to go and split it up to make storage a little bit easier. And you're going to need your ladyfinger cookies. And of course you're going to need the filling that we had just prepared. So the first step is to go and make a base layer of cookies. So you're going to take one of your cookies and you're going to give it a quick doink in your alcohol espresso sugar mixture, and just quite simply put it in your tray so that it begins to line the bottom. So we'll be back once I line the entire bottom of this tray. You may need to go and cut some cookies so that they fit. It doesn't need to be perfect, but trying to go and minimize the amount of open areas is best, because if you have too many open areas, the mixture is just going to kind of seep to the bottom of the tray. So we'll be right back once this is all done. Now to demonstrate what I meant earlier by you have to cut the cookies if they aren't really fitting, a full cookie will not fit in this area right here. So I cut a cookie, I had already doinked it, now it fits there, and we're going to use a half cookie. Just give it a quick doink. For all the cookies, you want to give them a pretty quick doink or else the cake will become soggy, and we'll just slide that right there. So now that we have our first layer of cookies, we are going to, because I'm having 2 trays, we're going to have to do a little bit more math here, but the first layer of mascarpone cheese mixture, egg white mixture, will be half, so you're going to split it in half, and because we're using 2 different trays, we're going to be using a quarter of the mixture as our first layer for this tray. So the first layer of both trays combined will be half of the mixture, so for 1 tray, it will be 1/4 of the mixture. So we're just going to ladle in a quarter of the mixture. I don't really know what a quarter of the mixture is either, so we're just going to kind of eyeball it and get about a quarter. So I think that is about a quarter of the mixture. So we're going to use that spatula that we had used earlier to scrape out the bowls and to fold everything together. We'll just scrape the inside of the ladle just to get everything out. And now we'll use the spatula just to kind of smooth the mixture out. And it's important to smooth everything out because now we're going to add another layer of the dunked cookies, and then we'll almost be done, at least with the 1 tray. So now that I have smoothed out the mixture layer, we are going to begin, as we did before, just dunking the cookies and layering them again. Personal preference, we kind of layered them like this before. I kind of like to do it the other way. I really don't think it matters, it's just kind of a personal preference. But same idea, just layer all the cookies, the dunked cookies, into the tray, and be sure to cut the cookies to fit any spaces that are a little too small to fit a whole cookie in. So now that we've added the second cookie layer, we are just going to go and add another quarter of the mixture onto the top, and then we're going to just dress this with some nice unsweetened cocoa powder, and we'll be done this tin. So I have smoothened out the top layer. It is even more important that you smooth this layer out compared to the first cheese mixture layer, because now we are going to go and add a layer of cocoa, and you can add as much cocoa as you'd like. Personal preference. I like to add a lot of cocoa. My mom likes to have a little bit of the cheese mixture showing, but it's completely up to you. So you're just going to go and sprinkle some cocoa here. And now you can see what I mean by this handy sifting container. Makes it a lot easier to kind of add this in. So just sprinkle as much cocoa as you'd like, and we're going to go and pop this into the fridge, and you're essentially done. I'm going to have to go and repeat all of this for the second tin. Of course, if you only wanted to make one tin, just divide all the ingredients by 2, and you can make yourself one tin instead of 2. So I wrapped this up in foil just so the top is protected, and now we're just going to pop this into the fridge. I've made this the night before we're actually going to eat it, so this will be sitting in the fridge overnight, and tomorrow when I slice this up, I will be sure to go and take some pictures for all of you to see. So we've let the cake sit overnight. And if you're like me, the foil had touched the surface of the cake a little bit, so I just had touched it up with a bit more cocoa powder before we serve it. But the cake is sit overnight, it is nice and firm, so we're going to go and slice this up, and we'll go and see how it tastes. Okay, so I have cut a slice of this delicious cake, and we are going to go and try it and see how it tastes. It's really good. It has a nice hint of the coffee and the Amaretto Liqueur that we used, and the mascarpone-cheese complements well with the cookies. I definitely recommend you guys try this out. This is one of my favorite recipes. And if you try it out, let me know how it goes in the comments below, and be sure to leave a like. And if you want to see more of what me and my friends are up to, please subscribe. So before we end off today's video, I'd like to give some attention to an initiative that I am passionate about. So most people that know me know that I am a big cat lover, and unfortunately about a year ago, our beloved cat Amber had left us. But I think we had made an important decision when we had gotten Amber to choose to adopt from the Toronto Humane Society instead of get Amber from a breeder. So I'm going to link some resources down below to link to the Toronto Humane Society, as well as some links to why declawing cats are inhumane. And when you are looking to get a friendly companion such as a pet, it is important to go and check out the Humane Society and local community to see if there are any animals that are in need of a loving home.